There we go. I remembered to record. All right. My name is Stephanie Hopkins, and I am the Food Security Coordinator for Arlington County Government. And today I'm going to talk to you about the Notice of Funding Availability for our Food Security Mini Grants for fiscal year 25. So I just put the link in the chat for the Notice of Funding Availability. Today, what I'm going to do is walk you through the specifics of that and the application, give you a chance to ask questions, and we'll go from there. So if you have questions in the chat, feel free to drop them there. Akid Harris will be monitoring the chat, and he'll kind of raise any questions to me. You can also raise your hand as we go along. All right, I am going to share my screen. All right. And I am going to try and also see some of you while I talk. All right, we can see the slides, yes? And it actually looks like the slides, not the PowerPoint side version. Okay, good. All right, so today we're talking about food security mini grants. Our agenda for today, we're going to talk highlights of the grant program. We're going to talk about eligibility requirements and eligible activities. I'll do an overview of the application, requirements for submission, how we're evaluating applications, and then reporting requirements for grantees, because I know sometimes that's really helpful to know upfront before you apply. Highlights about our program. We have $150,000 available for these grants. Each organization can submit one application. The maximum award per organization is $25,000. Applications are due Tuesday, July 9th at 5 p.m. You will get the award winners will be notified in late September. And then you will have October 2024 until June 2025 to spend the funds. And the funds will be issued through quarterly reimbursements based on the funding that you spend. You'll be reimbursed. And I will send out these slides afterwards. So don't worry about taking down all the notes. Eligibility requirements. Eligible organizations must serve or wish to serve Arlington residents and be either a 501c3 nonprofit or a faith-based organization or a public school or university. And then organizations can be based in DC or Fairfax or another jurisdiction, as long as the project that you are asking for funding for is in Arlington and serves Arlington residents. And then for faith-based organizations, you have to serve anybody who's eligible. You can't say only people of this faith can receive funding, and there's no proselytizing while using funds. Eligible activities. Make sure I've admitted all of the people in the waiting room. Eligible projects must support at least one of the strategies in the Food Security Strategic Plan. The Food Security Strategic Plan is linked in the NOFA documents. The strategies that we have fall under 5 categories: systemic change, food access, outreach and education, capacity building, and informed decision-making. There are specific strategies under these, but this is what they need to follow. I'm not going to read all of these, but these are the specific strategies that you would need to select on your application. So say I'm going to pick one of our previous grantees as an example. So I see Food for Neighbors. So say I'm Food for Neighbors and I want to do a program that supports students in after-school snacks in middle schools and high schools. So I am going to select this strategy 2.1, which is enhanced school-based supplemental food offerings, including food pantries, in-school snacks, and weekend food support. You can just select one strategy. You do not need to select every strategy that you think could maybe have a little bit of connection. I would rather you really pick the one or two strategies that really have a connection than try and select all of them that you think maybe are slightly connected. You're going to need to describe how your activity connects to these strategies. You'll see some of the numbers aren't included here because those strategies like 2.4 weren't related to activities that would be eligible for you guys to be funded for. And then there's also capacity building and informed decision making. So just quick high-level systemic change is about reducing inequities, food access, new food distributions, food rescue, delivery. This actually, good to point out, 2.6 is a new one that was added this year. 2.6 is enhance and improve existing food assistance programs serving Arlington residents. So if you already have a program and you want to improve it, we realized last year that there was no strategy that said this. So we've added this one for this round of grant making. Outreach and education, making sure residents know the programs that are available to them, do coordinated outreach around SNAP, nutrition, education, and partner with community leaders to share information. And then capacity building, develop training materials about programs, provide trauma-informed care, training for staff and volunteers, provide cultural food training, increase the capacity to share locally grown food, and then just informed decision-making to share use varied levels of engagement with recipients to gather their feedback and then collect data. That's kind of big picture what we're looking at. So the application for this year, there are various sections: organization information, program design, strategic plan connection, objectives and impacts, data and evaluation, and project budget. There are a various number of questions for each section. So we're going to go through each section one by one, and you can see what's in it. Organization information. This section is not graded in our evaluation. This is simply to get me the information about your organization. I want the name, the address, the website, your EIN, the contact information for the grant person, the contact information for your leader, whoever is going to be signing a grant agreement if you are awarded a grant, and then a brief description about your organization, including things like your history, your mission, your goals, your programs, etc. That's section one. Section two is really the bulk of kind of telling us what your vision is. This is your project description. So you're going to tell us the project name, your description, the demographic population or geographic area you would like to serve. Describe what led your organization to identify this project as a need. How will this funding change or affect your existing programs? Will this funding support a new initiative or enhance an existing effort? What is the time frame for your project? So your time frame should be October to June, but within October to June, kind of a little more detail. So don't just tell me October to June for that one. And then how will this project leverage other programs, services, and resources to serve the population? Food assistance or food security in Arlington does not happen in a vacuum. So we'd like to see how you're interacting with other things in the environment. Then section two, strategic plan connection. Indicate which strategic plan strategy or strategies your project will support. So there you're going to take that list, select any that apply, and then explain how your project connects to those strategies. Draw that line for us so I can understand your vision. That's it. That's all for this section. Objectives and impact. So first, describe your project's objectives. What do you anticipate that the project will accomplish? How will this project improve the food security of the people impacted? Then you're going to create a SMART goal. A SMART goal is a goal that is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So this is generally a one-sentence statement that we can go back to and measure how well you have achieved your goal. It's something that we can count. Either we can measure, this example says we're going to provide carts to 100 families. So at the end of your grant, we can say, oh, we served 98 families. Great, we got pretty close. Or you can say, oh, so far we've only served 23 families. You can measure that against your goal. It's time bound, so there's some sort of date measure as a part of your goal. It's specific. You're looking at something that's very specific. And then attainable and relevant, it's related to your goal. There is a link under this question in the application. So if you are not familiar with SMART goals, it shows you examples and will walk you through how to write a SMART goal. We will use this goal in the evaluation of your grant. So make sure it's something that you want to accomplish and you want to measure. So our example here, we will provide rolling carts to 100 low-income households in the Arlington Mill neighborhood by June 30th to help them more easily access grocery resources in the community. So it's measurable, that's 100 families. It's specific, so in low-income households in the Arlington Mill neighborhood. It's time-bound, there's a date there, and it tells us what we want to do and why. And then the last question in this section, how many people or households do you expect to be served by this project, and to what extent will they benefit? Is this a one-time activity, or will clients receive an ongoing benefit for this project? Data and evaluation. What data and information will you collect or monitor to measure this project's progress? And then how do you plan to evaluate this project impact? And then the last section is project budget. There is a budget worksheet, which looks like what you see here. You're going to write a narrative and then have the number so we can understand how much money you're asking for in each of these categories and explain a little bit why. And then question number 3 is a budget narrative. So you're going to tell us through in sentences what you mean. And that's where you can explain, this seems like a lot for this line item, but this is why this is what we're asking for. Or, you know, we're asking for travel and transportation. This is exactly what we're trying to do with that. And then the last question, how does your organization plan to continue to fund this project after this grant has ended? What aspects of the project would you prioritize if the full funding amount is not provided? In general, we are going to try and provide full funding to the projects that we can fully fund. Last time what happened was we were able to fully fund 9 projects, and we had this last amount of funding. So we picked one project, and that they got a smaller amount of funding so that we were able to use our $150,000. So if you are that project that we can't fund your full amount, but we still want to fund you, tell us how you would prioritize the aspects of your funding of your project, so it's clear that we know what your goals are. That is the application. I'm going to pause after this slide to look for questions. So our submission requirements, there is a form on the website, that website that I linked in the chat at the beginning, that has at the bottom, you're going to submit the Word document or a PDF of the application, your budget worksheet, and then either your 501c3 letter, your business license, or your proof of being a public school or university. You're going to hit submit on that form by Tuesday, July 9th at 5 p.m. I know a lot of people are on vacation the week of 4th of July, so you notice it's due on a Tuesday, which is kind of a weird time for it to be due. I didn't want people to come back from vacation on a Monday and it be due that first day, so you have until Tuesday. There you go. All right, I'm going to stop sharing for a second and look at you all.
We don't have any questions in the chat. Oh, okay. Actually, take it back. Something just popped in.
All right.
We have two just popped in, actually. So first question, can salaries and benefits be included for people already working for the nonprofit?
Yes. So for that, you would explain, you would put it in the budget worksheet under personnel. There's a line for personnel. There's a line for benefits, I believe. Yep, there's a line for salaries and a line for benefits. And you would say in your narrative what that position is and what their role is in supporting this project.
All right. So this next one is a two-parter. So first, how many estimated organizations do you estimate will be supported through this funding opportunity? And related to that, also, can you tell us about how competitive or not the funding cycle was last time?
Absolutely. So we have $150,000. Our max grant is $25,000. So we will fund at least 6 organizations. This past year, we funded 10 organizations. We had 39 applications. Last year, we allowed organizations to submit up to 3 projects. So we had about 9 or 10 organizations that submitted multiple projects. This year, we decided to ask organizations to pick one and just submit for one project. So either that will cut down on the number of applications we have, or it won't. But that's where we are. So last year we had 39 applications and funded 10. So this year we will fund at least 6. It kind of depends on how much people ask for.
All right. So you mentioned a scoring rubric. Will you share the rubric with the applicants?
I'm going to talk about the rubric in a minute. So I'm going to hold that question until I get there.
Gotcha. All right. And then the last one I think we have in the chat right now is, do you have a max percentage for indirect cost? Either required maximum or preferred maximum.
The max for overhead is 10%. Are there any questions not in the chat? And then I'll keep going. All right, I'll pause for questions again at the end. All right, here is the evaluation process. So applications will be reviewed by a review panel. The review panel last year included, I think, 6 or 7 individuals. They were made up of community members, people with food security expertise, and people who worked in county government. And we had a mix of people reviewing each application. They'll be scored using a rubric. Questions are valued between 5 and 10 points each. And you can see here the maximum number of points per section. So it's not exactly 5 points for each question. Some of them are weighted 7 or 10. And then funding amounts may be adjusted to maximize impacts among selected projects. So that's what I said earlier. Will we share the rubric ahead of time? The rubric is not entirely finished. Though, yeah, I think we can share the rubric ahead of time. We'll get that done soon then. So I wanted to walk through reporting, so you know what to expect ahead of time, what we're going to ask for if you are a grantee. There's two different kinds of reporting that we require: financial reporting, that's how you get paid, and then programmatic reporting, and that's where you show us what you did. So financial reporting, it consists of your budget worksheet. So we'll take the budget worksheet that you submitted as a part of your application, take off that narrative, and then you'll have columns where you can say what you spent for each quarter. Then you're going to submit documentation showing those expenses. So that could be receipts, it could be a payroll report, a general ledger report. Basically, we want to find those expenses in your receipts and match them up. And then you're going to submit an invoice that says, hey, Arlington County, please submit this organization this amount of money. You have 3 due dates, once per quarter: January 15th, April 15th, and then July, I think it's 8th. It was July 8th for this year. It might be slightly different for next year. That one's up a little bit because that's the end of our fiscal year, and we want to make sure you get paid. So we need that documentation a little bit sooner. And then your programmatic reporting. These are the questions that are a part of that. So again, once a quarter, what accomplishments has your project achieved this quarter? Update on your progress towards achieving your SMART goal. How has this project affected the people served? How are they better off? And then in the final report only, what lasting impact has resulted from this project? And then you'll be asked to submit demographics for the households and individuals served, percentage by race, ethnicity, and age, and then households by zip code. We had a couple applicants last time who said, based on how our program functions, I can't give you exact numbers of some of these. And so we were able to work out a formula or something that they were able to provide estimates. Right? You've all done grant reporting before. I need to be able to talk about your program. So I need to understand what you've accomplished, how many people you've served. And so I can both talk about your project individually and then the grant program as a whole. Questions? I'm going to stop.
Stephanie, can I just add on the reporting that we are just giving a high level of what we're going to require, but once we have the selected grantees and at the start of the project period, we'll have a more in-depth training on everything that's required.
Yes, thank you, Noelle. Yep, so in January for this past round, we did a training where we walked through how to submit your invoices, exact things to include. So if this is a little vague for you, that's okay. That's just meant to be an overview. I don't see any new questions. All right.
Stephanie, I had a question following up. Hi. With the max overhead 10% of the cost, does that include payroll and staff salaries and things like that as well?
Noelle?
Or is that, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's 10% on all of your direct costs. So that's personnel and non-personnel.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Please meet Noelle. Noelle is our grants manager. She handles all of the finance and the financial reporting. So she's my co-conspirator on this. All right, so if you applied last year, it's pretty similar of an application. We did move some questions around to kind of make a smoother flow and to kind of make it organized a little bit more logically and to spell things out a little more that we were hoping to see. So I hope this is clear and was helpful. All of these materials will be posted on the NOFA website. If anybody submits questions to us, we'll compile them and also add them to the website. But I'll pause for another couple of minutes to see if anybody has additional questions before we close.
Stephanie, just a question about the rubric. Do you have a time frame when you might be able to get that out? Because obviously how we respond to these questions is going to be very directly relatable to what the reviewers are going to be looking for.
Absolutely. It is almost done, so I will say by Friday.
Thank you.
Yep. Do we have a Q&A page for this grant? Not yet, because we haven't gotten any Qs to provide As for. What we did last year was we added a section to the grant, the NOFA page that listed out the questions that were asked. So I imagine we'll do the same. And I'm gonna put the link to that page again because we've had additional folks join. All right, so in the middle, right above the application, there is a thing that says NOFA Q&A. That's where those answers will be. All right. And I will put my email in the chat as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I will be on vacation the week of June 24th. So if you send me questions that week, I will respond the following week. All right, and we will post this recording as well. So you can, if you weren't here the whole time, you'll have access to this recording. All right, thank you all so much for coming, and I look forward to reading your applications.
Thank you.